Всем привет! С вами Джефф Channel, и сегодня мы поиграем в игру The Stanley Parable. Да, The Stanley Parable. И все, наверное, знают эту игру, но я объясню суть. И вот Стэнли, тот человек, за которого мы играем, он работает в этом месте. И его задача нажимать кнопки. Вот здесь вот. И его задача нажимать кнопки с определенную кнопку, с определенным темпом, с определенным порядком, и кто вы поняли. И
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Замолчи. И все работники почему-то разом пропали. И Стэнли заметил это странным и пошел разыскать, что произошло. Ну, пошел узнавать, что произошло. Я закрыл дверь. Не все. Так, что вы скажете?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Он шел в левую дверь.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
И здесь никого не было, и Стэнли захотел пойти к его боссу.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Значит, мы должны пойти наверх. Я посмотрел прохождение игры, но я заметил, что там очень много разных концовок, и я хотел выбрать именно настоящую концовку. А не там, например, Стэнли пошел налево, а потом Стэнли взял и ушел.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Что будет дальше? Я вижу, мы должны спуститься по лифту. Я поставил графику на максимум. В игре нельзя прыгать, можно приседать. Загрузка. Видео долго не выходило. Очень извиняюсь, потому что у меня не было даже дня, чтобы записать что-нибудь. Или просто не было желания. Даже не было новых игр.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Мне кажется, эту игру сделали на движке Portal 2.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Выход. Пойду по своей истории.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Так, ладно, мы пойдем и разузнаем, что босс такого от нас требует.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Извините, что я... Ну, короче, я более объясню.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
427. Какой у нас номер? 427. Вот. Давайте посмотрим. Да, вон наша комната. Маленькая такая комнатка. Ладно, пойдемте. Не буду засиживаться.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Тут где-то были кнопки 1 и 2. Мне кажется, если нажать все до 5, тогда что-то должно произойти. 2. Где номер 3? Номер 3. 1, 2. Где 3? Вот 3. Я вижу тройку. Теперь давайте найдем четверку. Четверочка, это где? А тут-то что? Вот, я нашел 4. Она там. Да, тут даже все текстурки испортила. Так, номер 4 и последнюю номер 5. Вдруг что-нибудь произойдет. Я, конечно, эту игру ни разу не играл, но я знаю, что должно происходить. Такие приятные звуки. И все. Ладно, давайте пойдем сюда.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Что же мне сделать? Спасти всех людей? Или взять все под контроль? Спасти людей? Взять все под контроль. Наверное, все-таки спасу людей. Да. Что теперь? О, я что-то вижу.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
А это конец?
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Это разве не подделка? Я могу переступить.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
И Стэнли был счастлив. Такая эпичная концовка. И тут экран потух. И что-то снова грузится. И сейчас я вам покажу первую пасхалку, которую я заметил абсолютно сам. Да. Не знаю, вдруг ее кто-нибудь нашел, но...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Да-да-да. Мы выбрались. Хотя...
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Типа мы здесь будем сидеть. Но я могу начать игру снова, но, наверное, уже прошло достаточно времени, и я буду заканчивать первую часть. Во второй части мы будем обозревать другую концовку. Да, я вас обманул. Ну, извините, конечно. Но мы будем обозревать другую концовку. Какую я не скажу. Посмотрите сами. Да, такая интрига. И что я хочу сказать? Я хочу сказать, что вы обязательно подписались на мой канал. Я буду очень рад. Все будут рады, потому что на моем канале только веселье и радость. Да. И обязательно поставьте лайк, пусть другие тоже посмотрят. И, ну, это все, что я хотел сказать. Всем удачного дня, всем пока.